What is going on, everybody? I am back today to not talk about a movie or review an album or anything of that nature, but I'm on here today to talk about controversy surrounding a piece of album art for an album that hasn't been released yet. And you can't see, I'll show you in the frame, but I have Sabrina Carpenter on my t-shirt. I'm a pretty big fan of Sabrina Carpenter. I discovered her music a couple of years ago and I really enjoy how playful she is with her music. I think there's something about the way that she expresses herself and how like unserious she is about the music that she makes, and she's really playful in her lyricism. And there's just something about her that's incredibly charming, and I feel like she's always being herself through the music in a way that's just really fun, and I really like her showmanship, and I've really appreciated her art for quite some time now. I think it's the perfect example of what pop music is supposed to be, right? Like you can use pop music to be expressive and put out a message or do any of those things, but you can also just have fun with it and get at your audience through like fun quippy lyricism and catchy enjoyable hooks, and that's what I really like about Sabrina's music. Well, if you've been kind of living under a rock or you're unfamiliar with Sabrina Carpenter's music or you don't care, she released this album artwork, which I'll put up on the screen right now, for her release of her new album that's coming out in the next few months. And there has been an uproar on the internet about this album art, saying that she is setting women back hundreds of years and that this is like anti-feminist. She's not expressing herself in her art in a way that's a positive influence towards women. She's just catering to men, all of these different opinions. And when I read discourse around art anymore online, I get infuriated a lot of times because I feel like people constantly are having the wrong conversations. It's great when people want to discuss art, but I think a lot of times, like conversations surrounding art, especially in the current political zeitgeist that we're living in now, I feel like some people are so ultra liberal that they're almost becoming conservative. Like they overanalyze things to such an extreme degree that they're almost pushing themselves to the right. And it's really just kind of fascinating to watch. As someone who has incredibly progressive ideologies, I grew up in a very conservative household. I consider myself very, very progressive as far as when it comes to women's rights, the rights of the queer community, marginalized groups. I'm for legalizing sex work. Like, I'm pretty much the most progressive person you could imagine when it comes to most situations in the United States government and even worldwide. And what I find so interesting about this conversation surrounding a piece of album artwork and what it expresses, and sure, you can boil it down to that, but in my personal opinion, Sabrina Carpenter's album artwork is her expressing her comfortability in her sexuality. And I think if this was being made by a man, or the lyricism that Sabrina Carpenter often puts in her songs that's hypersexualized and that, has certain situations that people might go, oh my goodness, a woman's talking like that. When men do that, as they have for years and years and years, you can just look at 1970s rock music in a nutshell and how overtly sexual everything is. Men are never criticized to that level for creating art that is hypersexualized and embracing their sexuality. And I think the issue that I have with this entire situation and the negative light as to which Sabrina Carpenter is being cast in is, this is a woman who dresses the way she wants, presents the way she wants, and expresses herself the way that she wants, where she can openly talk about sex and discuss sex in an open forum, and she's being ridiculed for it. Oh, you're a terrible role model to women. Oh, you're not presenting yourself in a way that's seemingly progressive in the feminist movement. And I thought feminism was about women being able to live and express themselves freely without the scrutiny of other people. And that whole notion of a woman being, disgraced for openly like showcasing what could possibly be her kinks or any of the things that she's into, I think there's something so laughably idiotic about criticizing that. And even if you look at the artwork outside of the context of what the record is about, because the only context that you have is the title of the album, she has spent spent her entire career being sort of playful with relationship and sexual dynamics and like not taking it super seriously. And to me, all of the artwork and the photo shoots surrounding it and the things that people are uncomfortable with, to me, it just seems to be a woman openly expressing herself, having fun with it, and not taking it too seriously, while everyone in the world is acting like she needs to be some sort of like icon and leader of a movement. And I think that that's just like blatantly asinine. Like, she makes art because she likes the art that she makes and she makes it for an audience. She just blew up a couple of years ago. Like, her music got into popular culture. She's now playing arena tours in comparison to the smaller venues that she was playing previously. And what I find so funny about the entire situation is like, she did not sign up to be a role model. She signed up to make music and make the music that she likes. It's similar to a lot of the conversations around, I can't believe parents are taking their kids to this show where a woman is making sexual innuendo and dressing in lingerie on stage. And she didn't ask for your kids to come. Like, you can take your kids, sure. She didn't ask for them to be there. And that's what I think so funny about this whole situation is like, if you want to say that you're for women and that you're for the like progressive ideals when it comes to women and how they express themselves and their bodies and their sexual orientation and how they present sexually, like if they want to be open in the dialogue surrounding those things, then why the fuck are we scrutinizing a woman for putting herself out there? And I just find a lot of the conversations to be so unnuanced, and there's just no real thought into it. It's almost like I said, it's over examining it to the point where you're moving to the right. You're essentially getting to a point where you're like, well, if women of all ages are watching her, then she needs to be conservative and needs to wear a robe and she needs to not talk about sex whatsoever in her songs. And as we can see throughout the cultural landscape of pop music anyway, that's not the trend. Look at Charlie XCX and the way that she presents herself. The content of her music, one of her biggest songs is referencing doing cocaine. Like, and the thing is like, it seems as society picks these very small subsets of people to just go after in droves because it seems to be very easy. And I'm just kind of baffled by it. I don't think they're having the right conversations. And in the United States of America, especially where the government and the media is leaning so heavily conservative, it's really interesting that people seem to be moving so anti-women in the guise of being pro-women. Like, that's what I really can't understand about the entirety of this situation, because I think Sabrina is legitimately just having fun, and I think that she's just putting art out there that she wants to put out there. I think she's feeling comfortable in her sexuality and how she's presenting herself and in like her kinks or the things that she's into, and she's not afraid to talk about it through her music. And I think if people have a problem with that, it's very silly. And I think you really need to rethink how you're approaching that, because it feels, in my personal opinion, and I am a man, obviously I'm a member of the queer community, I am a man, but like it feels very anti-women when you're talking about a woman in that regard who is being open and expressive, where the medium that I critique, film, for years, whether it's female filmmakers or actresses in film, presenting sexually, having themes of a sexual nature in a film, like how sex is presented, even through the male lens in film. Just sex is such a taboo subject that when it comes to women, especially like when I was growing up in high school, women were perceived very differently for their sexual exploits than men were. And I think that there's no different in this particular regard, where an artist is just writing music thematically about sex as a whole. And I just find it to be really laughable, and I wanted to weigh in on it. And I'm curious, I have a lot of really intellectual subscribers out there. I'm curious as to what your perception is, because I just find this whole situation to be kind of ridiculous. And I think that a lot of times the conversation surrounding art and the way people perceive it, they're handled in such a wrong way. And I just wanted to discuss that a little bit with you today. So what are your opinions on this situation? Let me know in the comments. Obviously, like I said, I just think that this situation has been blown completely and totally out of proportion, and I feel like people are really examining it in the wrong light. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.